Welcome to Nitpicking Nerds, and it's time for our top 10.
The top 10 utility lands in Commander.
I'm your host, Joe Cherries.
I'm your host, BZ, and that makes us the Nitpicking Nerds. Every single day, we got a new video for you. And we can only do that because we're supported by our patrons, like Tyler Miles, who's currently scrolling on down with everybody else we love.
Yes, all the patrons are scrolling on screen right now. We love them all as much as we can without making them uncomfortable because they literally give us the direct support we need to keep this channel going daily. Baby. BZ, where are we going to be special guest at?
We're going to be special guests at CommandFest Montreal. So if you're looking for a way to indirectly support the channel, you can do that while registering for CommandFest Montreal. If you're going to go July 15th to the 17th, there's a link in the description. Everyone who signs up through that link helps support the channel.
Yeah, want to meet the nerds? Meet us up at CommandFest Montreal and get your pass using our link. Sponsor of this channel is Moxfield.com. The question is, as always, will you be able to predict when the mid-roll ad is? And the answer, as always, is...
Throw your predictions down. You stink at it. You're never going to get it.
You meant to no was the answer I was looking for.
I was subverting expectations.
Yeah, very much so by not giving an answer to my question at all. And Happy birthday to every single human whose birthday is today and animals. And I mean, I usually only say pets, but I mean animals. We mean that squirrel outside who you saw was given birth to and you're like, oh, I'm going to remember that squirrel forever. Now you can be like, wow, they wish that squirrel a happy birthday.
Amber's birthday is actually coming up.
Wow, what's Amber's birthday?
July 1st, I believe.
Wow, it is coming up very soon. So let's hop into it. This is Top 10. It's where we literally just pick some sort of subject and we rank the top 10, the best in all of Commander, because this channel is a Commander channel, as you might know.
Kind of our jam. And we're not taking budget into consideration because this is just power-wise the strongest utility lands. And you might wonder, what is a utility land? Well, this is pretty hard to define.
Yes. We're
going to go with the MTG Wiki version of any land with like a supplemental ability that doesn't tap for mana. So some other ability that isn't generating mana. As you will see, there are some really strong lands that meet that criteria.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Any other little effect, whether it be big or small, that just is not making a mana. Not just I tap for mana.
Right.
All right, so let's hop right into it. We got number 10, which is actually 3 cards because we're not going to tell you what type is the best.
It's a 2.5-way tie, I think.
It is a 2.5-way tie between Hall of Heliod's Generosity, Academy Ruins, and Volrath's Stronghold. They all tap for Wingdings, but they all have one and a color, one white, one blue, or one black, to put a creature, enchantment, or artifact from your graveyard on top of your library.
Yeah, Volrath's Stronghold, I think, significantly worse than Generosity and Academy Ruins.
Agreed.
But kind of still in the conversation, so we just threw it up there. But if I had to, like,
rank them?
They're so close that I don't want to rank Hall of Heliod's Generosity and Academy Ruins. But I think Volrath's Stronghold is a distant third.
Like, even if it is a distant third, it's like, I don't even think any of these are really worth ranking.
None of them are bad. They're all amazing.
They're all really, really amazing. Their lands, they come in untapped every single time. They will produce colorless, and then whenever you need it, you're going to play these in your either really heavy creature decks, really heavy enchantment decks, really heavy artifact decks, and it's going to be a pain in the butt. Sometimes this causes locks. If you're getting held down by a really strong enchantment like Aura Shard, you can't get any of your enchantments and artifacts into the battlefield. Well, it's not good enough to just destroy it now because it'll just put it on top, recast it, and then get it going all over again.
Yeah, or I can loop Mindslaver or some other very fun artifact, and you're just not going to be able to stop it. So these things that sacrifice themselves, even creatures that do this too, like as simple as like Shriekmaw or something, you could just keep looping them over and over.
Yeah, use them as you see fit. I mean, all these lands coming in untapped, producing mana, not holding you back, not slowing down your game plan at all, just asking that, hey, can you play a colorless land? And the answer is yes, you can play 1 or 2, and these are some of the best, so you're going to play them.
Yes. Next is number 9. This is Urza's Saga. It's an enchantment land that only gains the ability to tap for mana after it enters. Then the next chapter is you can pay 2 and tap to make a construct, which will follow through into the 3rd chapter, so you can make a construct or not before it gets sacrificed, and then you go find an artifact that costs 1 or 0 exactly and put it into play.
So the main strength of this in this format is the fact that we have Soul Ring.
And Mana Crypt.
So this is just always going to be able to get you mana, and obviously that's like medium, right? It's like always getting my Soul Ring. It's like, that's not bad, but it's like, that's not good enough to be number 9 on this list. But this is utility. I mean, get whatever you want. You're going to have, in decks that are playing Urza Saga, you're going to have 5 to like 10 potential targets.
Sensei's Top, Soul Guide Lantern. There's some juicy ones. I think even just Delayed Ancient Tomb is already fantastic.
I mean, yeah,
That's
it is.
one of the best lands rate-wise of like, hey, it taps for 1 twice and then taps for 3 forever. Or 2 forever.
2 forever. And it tests for 3. If you're only ever using it for mana, it tests for 3 on the 3rd turn because you can float the mana in your main phase and then go get the Soul Ring and tap that for 2.
Well, how about that? Yeah, Urza Saga is super strong. There's infinite utility. It goes and finds a card from your deck, and it makes blockers or attackers.
It's a tutor on a land that puts it directly in play. You don't even have to pay for whatever you get. Like, it's just like, it's a really silly thing for a land to do. Like, this is like the most text on like almost any land, right? It's gotta be.
The most function on any land. I mean, what land by itself tutors something and then makes 2 3/3s? Like, that scale later if you play more things.
None of them.
It just does so much. I think it's probably not in enough commander decks, power-wise. We're going to be looking to get this in more decks over time.
I mean, it's incredibly strong. Any artifact synergistic deck,
It's just like you have to play it.
Yeah, it's hard not to play it. And in fact, it's in just one color decks. If you just have Soul Ring, it's almost good enough to put it. I mean, you probably want 1 or 2 more targets, but it's almost good enough by itself.
This card's so goofy because it's also an enchantment.
Yeah.
I'm wondering if there's like things you can do like in an enchantment deck where you just play Soul Ring and Mana Crypt and then just take advantage of this as being an enchantment. Like, it triggers Constellation.
It is extremely strange. That is for sure. I mean,
What's number 8?
Number 8 is Mystic Sanctuary, which enters taps and taps for a blue. It's an island, but if you control 3 other islands, it comes in untapped, and you put an instant sorcery from your graveyard onto the top of your library.
This almost could have just gone with Heliod's Generosity cycle because it puts something right on top. But this card is kind of just busted.
Yeah, this card, so on its front, it's just medium, right? Like,
It doesn't look broken.
You play it, you put something on top, but it's not that. It's the typing. It's all about the typing on this card because it's an island.
There's a lot of cards that find islands, often for free.
Oh, yeah, exactly. It's way easier to find islands, get them onto the battlefield, and that's what makes this card so powerful, is that these are fetchable. These are gotten by Fetchlands. There are 4 or 5 Fetchlands, 6 Fetchlands that just get it. It's like ridiculous. I think it's 5. I counted right the first time.
How is it not 4?
Because there's Prismatic Vista, BZ.
That finds basic lands, loser.
Oh.
Yeah. Well, Mystic Sanctuary, regardless of whether Prismatic Vista finds it or not, just a pretty messed up land. Instant sorceries can be some of the best things because they always put themselves right in the graveyard after you cast them, unlike the other 3 types. So you can loop cards if you can't have a way to bounce Mystic Sanctuary there's plenty of ways to do it. Even just regular old janky bounce lands do it. You're just setting up like Time Walks and just ridiculous spells, and it's going to put games away.
How many lands are part of infinite combos? It's not very many.
Very few.
And this is one of them. And it doesn't cost you anything in your heavy island deck at all.
Yep. I mean, 2-color decks can just play it.
Mystic Sanctuary. I mean, it's one of the weirdest design mistakes. This is a common.
Banned in multiple formats.
A common.
Like banned in Modern.
Banned in Modern. Banned in Pauper, I believe, as well.
That means nothing.
It means something.
I think Shatterstorm also banned in Pauper.
Yes, also is banned in Pauper. Next, we have number 7, which is Boseiju, Who Endures. It is a legendary land that taps for a green, enters untapped, so it's strictly better force if it does anything else, and it does. 1 of the green to channel it, discard it, destroy target artifact, enchantment, or land. They get to search for a land with a land type.
And put it into play.
Untapped.
And the ability is reduced by 1 if you have a legendary creature. I mean, it could be more, but it only ever costs 1 generic. So
now this whole cycle is incredibly good. We've talked about it many times. But
all 5.
But Boseiju is the far and away leader of the pack, right? Like, it's not even close. This is a removal spell costed aggressively, like, on a land.
It's the cheapest cost for channeling, and it's the best they're like by far the cheapest, by far the best. So I don't know, like, this was the chase rare. They just wanted to like push this one.
Yeah, I mean, this card is absolutely incredible. The fact, like you said, you get a removal. Now 1 of your lands is a removal spell, and it's not like you're playing a tap land like some MDFCs. No, you're not even making that sacrifice. No, this is an untapped forest almost all the time that when you need it, guess what? It bails you out by being a removal spell. What other land is doing that? Well, other than MDFCs, literally none.
Right, and MDFCs can't make this because they're not land cards.
Yes.
So we're getting real technical because we already had to get technical with the definition of what a utility land is for this list. So, but it's not literally a forest, obviously, but it taps for green and it's untapped. That's we're just shortcutting.
It is strictly better than a forest in 90.
In your hand, it is basically strictly better.
99% of situations, it's better than forest.
All right, number 6 is actually the greatest land of all time, so we must have made a mistake here. It's Field of the Dead, enters tapped, produces Wingding. So not the fastest land in the world, but whenever you play a land or a land enters that has a different name and you got 7 names total, you just get a 2/2 zombie. That zombie's untapped and ready to go.
Field of the Dead just gives you something tangible. It gives you 2/2 zombies, and all it asks is that you build your deck with a lot of good lands. Wow.
That's hard.
That is not hard at all. So you accept this as your 1, maybe 2, 3 tap lands, that's all, and then you just say, okay, Field of the Dead is now just producing tokens for me to synergize with my deck. All you need is some synergy. As soon as you care about zombies, okay, I'm in.
Permanence?
Maybe you care about having one of my favorite random synergies that it has in non-black decks is it makes a black token so your Bloom Tender can tap for black mana.
Yeah, Bloom Tender, just permanents entering the battlefield, tokens entering the battlefield, creatures. There's so many tiny upsides that this gives you. And you could even be a stickler about it and say, I don't want to play any tap lands. Put it in a spell slot. Do that thing.
You can put it in a spell slot. You can play like your 34 land deck, and one of my spells is now
Field of the Dead. I'll take that over a lot of spells.
Yeah, Field of the Dead it's such a low opportunity cost. Basically, we're not talking about budget. So as long as you have the ability to get a good mana base, Field of the Dead is just going to fit in your deck super easily.
I mean, if you're in any 3-color deck, you can't not have this work for you. Same is honestly true for 2 colors if you want to play snow basics. It's so easy that I wouldn't even. I'd say the biggest cost of playing this is just the tap land. Like, there's no other cost.
It is.
It's not like, oh, am I going to trigger it? No, you're going to trigger it.
It's the biggest cost outside of single color decks, yeah.
Yeah.
All right, moving on. We have the next one. It's number 5, and by number 5, I mean it's actually the best in the whole entire world. It's Moxfield.com.
Didn't see it coming.
You did not see it coming. Moxfield.com is a deck building website where you can go and build any one of your decks and do it efficiently and easily. It literally takes no time. Once you make an account, boom, you're in. You're making decks. Click that new deck button up in the corner and just start. Get rolling and make a deck.
Yep. I like that the search function filters, if you're starting with a commander deck, which you probably are, it filters only cards you could play anyway. So if you're red-green and you search Temple of, you're not going to have to scroll down the endless supply of stupid Scrylands. You're going to just get Temple of the False God, skip right past that, and then Temple of Abandon.
Yeah, I mean, you're going to get a few more because there actually is quite a few Temples of, but you'll get a lot less. You're literally going to get 9 less than you would in a Scryfall search because
so much easier.
It's sorting for your commander's color identity, which is amazing. Something else I like about it is if you type in like Temple of and you don't see what you're looking for, you can hit enter and it'll just give you a layout of all the cards that are that, and you can just, there's a little plus sign, boop, puts it right in your deck.
I gotta say, it's one of the biggest level ups I've ever come across for Magic or deck building.
It is, and they're always there making the changes that need to be made. Thank you, Moxfield, for being awesome.
Thank you. And we're going to scroll right into number 5. Probably 0 people watching are predicting this right now. And even after I say this, I bet you probably still won't get it. It's a really stupid land. What is it?
It's Tabernacle at Pendervale. Oh, my goodness. It doesn't tap for any mana at all, so you can't even argue that it's not a utility land, right?
Qualifies.
It definitely qualifies.
Barely a land.
And at the creature's gain, at the beginning of its controller's upkeep, either they pay 1 or they sacrifice the creature.
Might be destroy. I don't know. Whatever. It's just, all creatures are now under tax at the beginning of the upkeep. So not even like, you can't even draw and see what you're up to. It's just like, do you want these? Maybe for most of them. Definitely for some of them. This is a format that revolves around specifically creatures. It's commander. You have to most likely have a creature or multiple in your command zone, and this just kind of slows the game right down to a halt.
The actual power of this card is like unseen because nobody sees it happening. It's not played very often because it's a $1,600 card.
It might even be more.
It's at least like $1,500. Like that's like the minimum price I can imagine this being.
Like probably multiple thousands of dollars if you want to buy this.
Like, and that's just not that's not reasonable. No player's buying that, and on top of that, it's not a fun card. Like nobody's having fun against this card.
No one.
So like, if this card actually gets slammed, it's ridiculous. Like,
you just have to play very few creatures in your deck, and then there's no downside for you. Like, I got 2 or 3 creatures. Maybe every once in a while I have to pay 1, keep my commander around, or my commander's a planeswalker or something, and I don't care. This thing is just pretty messed up.
And there's ways to make it tap for mana that like they're coming up later on this list where the cards that just give them types, and now all of a sudden now my Tabernacle, it doesn't even not tap for mana, it taps for mana too.
It's a little annoying having to grade cards based on power that just would so obviously be banned if they weren't on the reserve list.
It seems like this should be a banned card.
How could it not? Like, if this was a $5 card, how would it not be banned?
If this is I think it's very simple.
Double Masters 2022.
If this is reprinted in Double Masters,
yeah,
and you see it and it comes out and it's released, this card is probably banned the next.
You won't even
month.
have to check.
I mean, it will be. I mean,
right.
I would be shocked. Like I mean, they Command Rule Fest.
Rules Committee?
The Rules Committee, that's what they're called. The Rules Committee has said they don't ban cards that don't see play, even if they could be problematic.
Right.
Which,
This is like so obviously problematic.
such a problematic.
But I've never seen one. But it's undeniably strong.
I have seen one.
Yeah, our friend used to own one. That's the closest we got.
Our friend did own one. I don't know if he still does.
Well, maybe I'll proxy one up for a Shuffles couple. That'll be fun.
Please don't.
All right, number 4. We're getting into the bangers now. Phyrexian Tower enters untapped, makes a colorless, or tap, sack a creature, make 2 black. So both abilities are mana abilities, but it does something other than taps for mana. It sacrifices a creature, it puts it in your graveyard, it triggers stuff, and oh boy, this land's real good.
It's definitely utility. It's interesting because making a colorless and making 2 black, both mana abilities, but on the mana ability, the sacrifice part is absolutely utility. It's huge. It's something you leave up to respond to board wipes with. You leave it up to, it produces extra mana, but it puts a creature into your graveyard to trigger any dies ability. If you're playing something like, let's just say, Kakusho Junji, those 2 dragons that want to die, now this land is providing something you're actively looking for in the deck already, while just being a land on top of that.
I do believe the minor upside of it being a mana ability might come up every once in a while, because you can't respond to it.
It does come up once in a while. I believe what's cool about it is that you could respond in the split second.
Yeah, you can throw it on the stack because it's mana ability.
So yeah, in response to a Crossing Grip, okay, yep, I'll just activate to sacrifice my creature that was an artifact, we'll say, in this case, because it mattered.
Right, it's pretty sweet stuff. I like Phyrexian Tower a lot. It's clearly just one of the best mana-producing lands and one of the best utility lands. It just does everything. This card is so free to play, so messed up, one of the best lands in the format.
I mean, it produces on top of that, and producing 2 mana is just no joke. Like, not a lot of lands do that, so when any land actually taps for 2 mana with very little downside, what's going to be an upside in the decks you're playing it in, you're going to be extremely happy.
Yes, just fantastic. What's number 3?
Well, it's a good one. It's Strip Mine. Colorless land, taps for colorless mana. Boom. Tap, sacrifice it, destroy target land. Simple, easy as it can be. It kind of shares the spot with Wasteland, but
It's the Volrath Stronghold. It's a little bit behind.
it is definitely lacking behind here. Strip Mine is, strictly better than
Just
Wasteland.
literally strictly better.
Literally strictly better. Strip Mine is absolutely incredible, and it's such a free roll. Unless I'm in a 4-color deck, as long as I have a Strip Mine laying around, I'm putting it in my deck because I want the ability in my land slot to destroy lands.
Like some of the ones on this list.
Like so many of the ones in this list, and some of them not on this list, like a Gaia's Cradle, or that like is producing a ton of mana. Nykthos,
Cabal Coffers.
all of those ones that are producing a bajillion mana. Even Ancient Tomb can be super annoying. I want to get those off the battlefield, and Strip Mine is the freest of free rolls.
White and green decks can get this back for multiple uses. Crucible of Worlds, Savine's Reclamation, Raminep Excavator. Then throw in an Azusa and then start Strip Mine locking people out of the game with my land that I played.
Yeah, again, like something unique about this one, like some of the other ones, like we were talking about combos and Mystical Mirror, but here we just have win condition. Like a real potential win condition is Strip Mine locking players out of the game. Is it slow? Is it fun?
Yes, no.
Yes, no. I don't know why I asked 2 questions with different answers. Now you're supposed to do that, but regardless of it being not fun, it is legitimately a win con in a land slot, which is something lands don't win the game.
Yeah, it's like plan C isn't to win the game with my land. Maybe Field of the Dead can do that, but
even then,
Mystic Sanctuary is close, like you said.
Yeah, but Mystic Sanctuary has combos and that can sort of put away. But it's like, how many lands win the game? It's like
5.
It's like 3 or 4 that actually just, without producing mana, like for combos or something, win the game. Like, it's very few, but Strip Mine is one of them.
Yeah, every deck needs a Strip Mine variant. Some of the budget ones play Ghost Quarter instead or whatever. But you just need a Strip Mine in your deck because there's going to be something stupid that you have to kill.
They were called on the site. They were called Strip Lands, like referring to all these
Strip Lands,
which I thought was funny. Like any land that destroys another land is.
Field of Ruin, the Strip Land.
Yeah, it's a Strip Land.
All right, number 2. We're almost done. What is it?
Well, it's Urborg and Yavimaya. Both don't produce any mana at all by themselves, but they give each land a type, which Urborg's making them all swamps. Yavimaya is making them all forests. Now, these are just kind of color fixing, but they make every land color fix for the color, which is definitely utility considering there's also a ton of little synergies.
There's infinite little tiny things that make these so fantastic, and it's not
Forest Walk, Swamp Walk.
like it's not just the color fixing that we play these for. There's lots of tangible benefits outside of it. So in the end, we were like, all right, let's get them on the utility land train. It's not doesn't just produce colors.
It definitely does. Yeah, it's 100% not just producing colors. It lets you do so many little things differently. Like we know Urborg, Cabal coffers, but like there are plenty of commanders that sometimes have Forest Walk, some
Swamp
older
Walk.
ones. Swamp Walk. Shieldred has Swamp Walk. She just can't be blocked. Not that she's a great commander, but she loves Urborg.
You might even be able to get away with, even if you take away all that other stuff, technically, if we're saying a utility land is something that does anything other than generate mana, giving types to other lands is already like utility status.
It is utility status, and like you said, there's just so many little things that care. These are like when I say free roll, they are colored, untapped lands that fix you on a specific color for the rest of the game.
And have more positive impact after that. They can reduce the amount of damage you take from like Mana Confluence and Ancient Tomb.
I know that some people have like the mindset of these have a downside of doing it for your opponents. Don't care. Our deck is 100% designed to take advantage of it. Their deck might like it, could like it, might even have synergies with it. But it's 100% of the time always a benefit for me, and some low percentage of the time a benefit for them.
Yeah, it's not like the other formats, in Modern or whatever, like, oh, they get access to black mana now. It's like, EDH, your mana base is basically perfect. If they don't have access to black mana, it's really like
rare.
But it's rare, and you know that they're getting unlucky, and they really should have already. That doesn't really change anything. You're not going to lose because of that.
Also, you can hold this. If somebody's literally getting screwed on their black mana,
and it's that relevant somehow.
Yeah, and it's that relevant. You could just hold this and just play a different land, or miss a land drop for one turn to leave that player behind.
If it's really that bad.
If it's literally hurting them that bad, and you see that, then yeah, totally reasonable thing to do. Again, these ones are so like I feel like Strip Mine, Urborg, and Yavimaya making it so high on this list because of how much of a free roll they are. Like
every deck.
Every single green deck I build, Yavimaya. Every single black deck I build, Urborg. And even funnier than that, in the rarest of situations, these can go in non-green, non-black decks when maybe you're playing the Elishnorn, Crimbus Bell.
Well, it actually just comes up all the time with colorless decks, where you're nullifying your Ancient Tombs and your stuff, just so you have another option. You play in your Kozilek deck 2 other lands that you could just play because they're colorless.
Literally free rolls.
Yep. Number 1, it's tough. If I'm going to say land without a mana ability or land with another ability, you may be thinking, well, what's number 1? It's not even close. It's the Fetchlands.
It's not remotely close. Yeah, Fetchlands are stupid. They're my least favorite lands combined with being
probably
the best lands in the entire format. They do way too much for way too little. Let's start at the base. All right. They come down, they're a land drop for your turn. Okay, awesome.
That's normal.
They fetch, get another land. Okay, well, we have Evolving Wilds. What makes them do that? They get types. They get non-basics. They get triomes. They get shocks. They get the
Battle
BFC land.
Yeah.
Anything going forward, they only stand to get better. They get Mystic Sanctuary. They get that cycle lands. Any land with a type, these will always be able to fetch and put onto the battlefield. Do those enter tapped? No. They come in untapped. There's a majillion upsides here. A majillion. Literally a majillion. A majillion. Real number here. And like, if you don't know a majillion, look it up.
Yeah. Very few channels hype up like Fetchlands, Urborg, and Strip Mine as us, but we're fine going to the moon with them because they're just we want people to know they're just the best thing going on like in all of Magic, and they break formats, and we just get to play every single one of them. They don't have color identity, so you can jam a million fetches in your deck.
Yep, you're playing mono blue, you get 5, 6 fetches. You get Fabled Passage, Prismatic stuff, and the 4 other ones.
Although Fabled Passage, Prismatic not included in our number 1
They're
slot.
not in the number 1 slot, but they're still incredible.
They're still similar, yeah. So you get to pay a life, which sometimes matters, put a permanent in your graveyard, sacrifice a permanent, put another land into play for more landfall.
Shuffle your library.
Right, shuffle your library, reset the top card of your library. Just too many little things that they do. 2 permanents entering, 2 lands entering.
There are 2 land drops. Why are they?
But the cost is nothing, especially in Commander.
On top of everything, these are 2 land drops. Like, what is going on with these cards? They are every fetch land, every single fetch land is essentially perfect fixing. If you're in a 5-color deck and you draw 1 fetch land, you're probably fixed for the rest of the game, and that is, I will say, stupid. I think that's so stupid.
Colorless lands that are actually rainbow lands and produce any color.
Yes.
And they don't just, it's not like, Terramorph Experience is a rainbow land. It's like, no, it gets 1. This is like, it's rainbow. Then you have to eventually narrow it down to 2 or 3. It's like, colors.
It's silly. Like, the amount of Fetchland provides you is absolutely silly, and I don't think we have to hype these much more because we all know Fetchlands are literally the best land ever printed. I mean, they are, and I will say it, better than original duels. I don't even think it's close.
Best cycle printed.
The best cycle ever printed. Yes, they are better than original duels. It's not even remotely close. And like, this is utility, and we're just talking about them being utility lands. They literally provide more utility at zero cost than like any other land.
All right, so I'm pretty sure you meant dual land cycle, but so if you had to compare Fetchlands to the Gaia's Cradle, Tolarian Academy, Sarah's Sanctum, Phyrexian Tower, Shivengorge cycle. Shivengorge is kind of like really being some dead weight.
It is. Maybe it's dragging it down behind. Yeah, I know.
It's probably worse than that cycle.
At least an interesting discussion we had. I mean, Fetchlands are that good that that's a discussion. Like,
So I'm sure there's some people or pros out there that would argue for Fetchlands.
I mean, there's a lot of people who argue for Fetchlands. But we do top 10s every other week, so why don't you go check out the top 10 equipments that we did a few weeks ago. Peace out, Tribe Scouts.